Okay, my name is Amy, and today I went to the student dialogue for Privilege Through the Clemson Lens. So, the first question to address was, were there any active voices in the dialogue? And there were a few. We had about 30 people, I think exactly 30 people because they split us up into groups. But there were probably about 10 voices that really spoke up a lot of the time. And obviously, they were more outgoing and they really answered most of the questions and addressed a lot of the problems that we were discussing that day and really added a lot to the dialogue and to the discussion. And it was really helpful to hear from them. And with there being a lot more, or with there being some active voices, there were definitely a lot more reserved voices. And these people, you heard them say a couple things here and there, but they mainly just nodded their head and either agreed or disagreed with what people were saying, but didn't really speak up. And I understand a lot of people are shy because I'm definitely that type of person, and I wish I would have been more outgoing in the group, but I think it would have been a lot less awkward if there were, a lot of people were more active in speaking. But I think with that environment, there were a lot of people, and it was kind of intimidating because most people in there didn't know anyone, they were strangers, and some people just aren't comfortable talking in front of people, especially about personal stuff that we were talking about the privileges that you have and where you're coming from. And, if you aren't privileged, you don't want to, let everyone know that you don't come from as privileged background as most people. And then if you were more of a privileged person, you didn't really want to talk about it too much because a fear of being judged that maybe you're spoiled brat or that you aren't grateful, and you don't want. I think a lot of people that had more reserved voices were a lot more shy because they were afraid that they were going to be judged. And the role that I played in this dialogue, I was one of the people that was more reserved and had a more quiet voice. I am very, I have a huge fear of talking in public, and I'm also kind of closed personality. I don't really like to discuss my personal life that much, so that's probably the reason why I stayed to myself. But I definitely was an active listener and, try not to be judgmental in the dialogue. But um, that was my role. And like I said before, I would have preferred to, looking back at it, to be more active in the discussion, but it's over now, so oh well. But I think that dialogue is a component of Library 100 because it's very important to know how to carry on a conversation with someone and how to be able to listen to their viewpoints and to, have that background because you're going to need it in the workforce when you leave Clemson, and, most likely you're going to need it at Clemson besides in Library 100. And my honest opinion, do I see it as a useful tool? I definitely see dialogue as a useful tool, but this exercise in particular, I didn't really see it that it helped me with dialogue too much. I much rather it have been more one on one and small group than just a large group of people. It was really intimidating, and I think we did break up into small groups at one point, and a lot more was said, and you got a lot more out, and I was a lot more outgoing when it was just one-on-one time with a different partner, and it was nice to meet some other people, and you didn't have a fear of being judged as much. And this was one cool exercise that we did. It was a little dialogue of some of the privileges that we had, and like one thing was, what is your socioeconomic class? And for me, it's upper middle class, and that was when I came into this dialogue. That's what I thought privilege was. Basically your wealth. But through this dialogue, I definitely realized that being privileged is not just about your wealth, it's about the opportunities that you get in life and just the little things that we take for granted. Like one woman pointed out in class, that she thinks she's privileged because she just is able to walk to class. And I thought that that was really important, and it was something that I really overlooked most of the time because, you take for granted walking up that hill from parking lot C2 all the way up to your classes, but there's some people that aren't privileged enough to do that, and I got a lot out of it, and I really appreciated this course.